Welcome back, 1/6 scale fiends. It is, of course, your emissary of collecting, also known as Mike G. And tonight we're going to do what we did last weekend, but again, we're going to be talking 1/6 scale figures and on a segment I like to call MOTN Figured It Out, where we're going to be talking about the 1/6 scale community, talking about figures that I enjoy, as well as talk about the characters themselves, because since I am a big nerd, I might as well talk about the actual character in history, along with the figure that it's tied to. These aren't pop vinyls, ladies and gentlemen. These are 1/6 scale figures. I hope everyone's having a nice, safe evening tonight for those who pop in and just chill out with us for tonight. But we're going to be talking about a very special subject that kind of came to mind to me in a dream. It came to me in a premonition. And I was thinking about the figures that were either here before I got here, which I never really had a chance to get, or figures that I just didn't decide to pull the trigger on and now deeply regret. So, with enough preamble, we're going to go into our topic for this evening. Mike G's 1/6 scale most wanted. These are amazing 1/6 scale figures that if you can find out in the wilderness, you will definitely enjoy. And these are not necessarily a top 10 because they're in no particular order. But these are figures that I would love to have in my collection and either skipped on or wasn't available when I was in the collecting game. One thing about this hobby is that these figures aren't easy to purchase. You have to seek them out, even when they are available. You're not going to be buying these at Walmart or Target or the defunct Toys R Us. No, you have to go through specific channels depending on where you are in the world. And this is where and then it gets even more complicated once the figure actually has launched, sold, gone, and they don't really make remakes of these, or they don't restock them, so to speak. So once the lot has been cleared, the lot is cleared, and you have to go through third-party retailers and go through sellers and things like that and buy used figures and all that fun stuff. Not really with that. So a lot of these are definitely on my wish list, and we'll talk about more of that as we get into the list, shall we? So let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off with our first choice. Let's go. So today we're going to be talking about Luke Skywalker. Bestman Luke is what they call him, from Empire Strikes Back. This is a figure that is fairly old. I believe this is a 2.0. There was a version of this that came out even earlier, so figure's already had its second run. But I wasn't in the hobby then, so I wasn't able to collect it. And as you can see, my fledgling Star Wars shelf there, I need another Jedi. And how can you go wrong with the Jedi himself, Luke Skywalker? And there's so many iterations of Luke that you kind of have to think and choose which particular Luke is good for you. In my case, I definitely would want to go with the Empire Strikes Back Luke because that's just an iconic look. The white flight suit, the blaster on his side, the blue lightsaber. Luke, I am your father, all that great stuff tied into it. So this would be my choice if I got to choose a Luke to have in my collection. Between this and even Return of the Jedi Luke with the all black with the green lightsaber, that's pretty fire too. This figure came with a pretty nice display, pretty decent display. The lightsaber is kind of garbage because it comes with one of those. I think it's like a arm that comes with like a battery you have to plug into, not USB, so not for me. And also it comes with the Darth Vader with Luke's face inside when he sees the vision going into the Force cave. Definitely, like I said, this would be the Luke that I would pick for myself if I was to pick up a Luke, and fingers and toes crossed that one day to do a 3.0 of this figure, maybe even a artisan version with rooted hair and just updated head sculpt and all that good stuff. But fingers and toes crossed that hits us one day. But as of right now, I am Lukeless, and this is the Luke that I would choose. Definitely, definitely. Moving on to classic comic book style Iron Man. Now, this is really interesting because Hot Toys is notorious for making tons of Iron Men. Throughout the years, all the MCU figures, even some that are comic book style like this, there is a stealth armor floating around, and of course, War Machine. But this is like the most iconic Iron Man look, like from my childhood. This is the Iron Man that my father really was into. And this is like the perfect Iron Man comic book style that I would ever want to have in my collection. As you could see, this thing is just bursting with color. It's very toyish, but that's the point. It's supposed to be right out the comic book. Comes with two different faceplates for Iron Man, and even a Tony Stark head sculpt. Super sick. They didn't have to do that. Comes with roller skates for those who know. Comes with a really decent display. Par for the course for Iron Man figures, as well as a full array of hands. But what really sells me for this figure is the actual, that it can fit within your classic shelf. And I talked about this on the previous episode for those collectors who want a classic Marvel shelf that's not MCU, that looks like the comic book. So this is like the quintessential classic Iron Man that you want on your comic book shelf, with the X-Men and classic Spider-Man and classic Venom. And with that Tony Stark head sculpt, you really can't go wrong. This is probably the one Iron Man I really, really regret not picking up when I had the chance to get it, because at the time it didn't fit my collection. So I really didn't want to buy it at the time or invest in it. But now, in retrospect, yeah, this is a big miss. And this is definitely on my most wanted. If I ever see it out in the wild, it's on like Donkey Kong, and I'm just picking this thing up. And definitely recommend it to you. If you want to find this thing, like I said, now it's going to be within the hands of third-party retailers and third-party sellers. It's sold out on Sideshow, which is the big US retailer. So happy hunting for this one. And hopefully one day I can find this sitting quietly in a comic book store. Don't laugh. Really don't laugh at this one. This is one that is really just a guilty pleasure figure that I really, 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 really want. This is the Batman 1960 series. Very old Hot Toy. This thing is like ancient. So I think it's one of the first ones they've ever made. But they knocked it out the park immediately. For anyone past 30, you probably recollect seeing Adam West and Burt Ward as Batman on the TV screen, on the small screen, and even on the big screen, usually after Gilligan's Island or Andy Griffith. So this is a figure that if I was to complete my Batman trifecta, because I have Keaton Batman, who's my absolute favorite. I have Pattinson Batman, who I loved in those films. And my third Batman I would choose for me is the Adam West Batman. One, just because he looks so much different. He would stand out on your shelf. Just the bright colors, that bright gray. Put him in the Bat Tootsie pose, and people are like, where did you get that? You know what I mean? He's doing the cat eyes, exactly, Toots. That's too cool, isn't it? Yeah, he's doing the cat eyes. He's doing the Bat Tootsie, dude. That's how he gets down. And that's how I would pose him. I would definitely pose him in the cat Tootsie with the cape. And it's like you almost kind of have to get Robin with Batman, but I don't necessarily need Robin. But Batman could stand alone with like a trio with my Keaton, with my Pattinson. So definitely a figure that I would love to have in my collection, because it just will complete my Batman trifecta that one day I hope to complete. This is another figure because it's so old. I hope that one day they bring it back. I hope that one day they do a 3.0 or a 2.0, but just a better head sculpt, better fabrics. Because look, this thing is barely being held together. But that's really the nature of his suit, isn't it? But just better tailoring, better body, you know what I mean? I know they can do it. It's just a matter of licensing. So This choice is Batman 1960s series, Adam West. No, Batman. You can't. He's non-defeatable. Next is the one and only. They call it the final swing, Spider-Man. The No Way Home, last 10 seconds of the film. He embraces being Spider-Man. He makes his own suit and goes out into the night on Christmas Eve. This is, to me, the best marriage of MCU Spider-Man with classic suit Spider-Man. Everybody freaked out when they saw this on the screen at the end of the film. It just got everybody hyped for the future. Like Spider-Man being Spider-Man without the Stark tech, without anything, just him relying on his own strength and his own the cut of his own jib. And everything about this figure is clean as hell. The head sculpt of Tom Holland is spot on. It comes with this amazing snow like diorama base that just looks great. Definitely a full array of hands, full of array of ribs, rolling eyeballs, so you can get them in that perfect like side eye. This is the Spider-Man, and I'm really regretting not picking it up. I have the other No Way Home suit, his last tech suit. Back there, you can kind of see it glistening in the light. But if I was to ever switch up my Spider-Man, it would be with this one. This suit is just too top-notch, just too iconic. And it's like I said, it's the perfect blending of a comic suit with the MCU suit because it's in the MCU. This is stamped, it's official. And just once again, this will definitely be a shelf stealer. Just look at the vibrant colors on the suit. Have that in a nice lit shelf, a nice lit detail or a module space, and that's going to look insane. Everybody I've seen who has this figure absolutely loves it. So this is one that I definitely regret not picking up, and it is on my radar. They're going for really expensive right now, so I'm kind of trying to wait for it to go down a little bit because the prices on these guys are really high up there, and I just can't commit to it just right now. But if you are lucky enough and would like to pick a Spider-Man to have in your collection, or just to have, this Spider-Man is the one to go with 1,000%. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to the nutter butter here. I'm not playing around anymore. This is the RoboCop diecast 1/6 scale figure from Hot Toys. This thing is beastly. It's based off the RoboCop design from RoboCop 3, so it comes with the weird jetpack and Optimus Prime arm, but you can strip all that down, as you can see in that top right image, and just have the clean RoboCop. And it even comes with a damaged chest piece and a damaged headpiece if you wanted to go more for the RoboCop 2 look. If anybody who's ever been following this channel, Masters of the Nerdiverse, you guys know RoboCop's one of my favorite movies of all time. You're probably one of my favorite characters of all time. Mike G. Prime can attest to that. But at the time this figure came out, it was really expensive. And at the same time, it just didn't fit my collection at the time because my collection was all Marvel at that time. So I really I had no place for it, so to speak. But now that I do, I really want a RoboCop in my collection. Definitely would like to bring this home. And once again, this is a figure that once I've seen in the wild, and I've seen other people kind of display theirs, and it just looks great. It has that RoboCop 2 sheen to it, that bluish hue that it's only like in RoboCop 2, where RoboCop 1 was more of like a slate gunmetal, but this one has that kind of 80s kind of like reflective purplish bluish kind of. It just looks crazy. The hip does pop out, so you can do the infamous kind of like sharpshooter back into the thigh, so that the thigh does open up for the Alex Murphy automatic pistol, which is die cast. So this thing is just engineered to the gills, and it's just one of those figures that one day I plan on having a RoboCop in my collection, because I want a RoboCop and Terminator, because RoboCop versus Terminator. So this is definitely one that I regret not picking up at the time, because now, once again, they're really expensive. Out of the third-party retailers, going for like 600 or 700, something crazy like that. So I'm definitely hoping that RoboCop makes a return to 1/6 scale collecting, either by InArt or Hot Toys, because RoboCop is just one of those iconic characters that if you have a 80s shelf, I mean, you can't go wrong. What's more 80s than RoboCop? Alex Murphy, um, Robot Jesus. So definitely this guy is on my list. I'd buy that for $1, definitely. Toots. Toots understands. Toots understands the assignment. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I would love to have that represented in my collection at some point in my life. So here's to RoboCop. Definitely want to. This is on my most wanted list. When I find him, I'm definitely going to be picking him up. All right, let's get to the Star Wars section of the episode. Chrome Mandalorian. This is based off the TV series The Mandalorian, and it comes with a little Grogu. Look at that face, dude. This is a figure that a lot of people didn't like because it came out right after they released another Mandalorian figure. They kind of jacked up the collection, a lot of people's collection, because they released a non-Chrome Mando, and then shortly after, like 3 months later, they released this guy who was like a deluxe. And everybody was pissed because it's like, oh, well, I just bought this thing, but I didn't, because this was before my time. Really would love some Mandalorian representation in my collection. I would post this with a Boba Fett and the Writer's Reign. Once again, die cast all the way through. Comes with the head sculpt of Din Djarin. They don't need to do that. It's just an extra that they add in. All of his weaponry, his spear, once again, die cast, full of rain hands. And it comes with a Grogu. How can you defeat Baby Yoda there? Not too thrilled about the diorama base. It's kind of standard fare. But every time I've seen this thing, it looks insane. It's like I said earlier, I'm slowly building my Star Wars shelf, and I would like Mandalorian representation. So I'd love to pair this figure with a Boba Fett or even a Jango Fett. I would be super happy to just have the 3 Mandalorians from all 3 Star Wars time frames on one shelf. And I think that would be pretty cool. Once again, put a Mando in a cape. It just looks super sick. So really excited to one day find this. This is another one that's selling really high on the aftermarket. Missed opportunity, wasn't really in the collecting space at that time. So just missed out on this one. This is definitely on my most wanted list with a bullet. The Mandalorian and Grogu. Fire and desire, as Rick James would say. Okay, we're mixing things up a little bit here. No, that is not a human being. This is a InArt Gandalf the Grey, all 12 inches of him. InArt is a company I don't talk about much because they don't really produce a lot of figures that I'm interested in. They mostly focus on Lord of the Rings. They've recently been focusing on Harry Potter. They have some Batman figures. They have some Joker figures, but nothing that speaks to Mike G. The only figure I've seen that I would really want is this Gandalf, because when I tell you this is probably one of the most realistic figures I've ever seen, it is. The actual suit is fully wool. The likeness to Sir Ian McKellen is spot on. These pictures do not do it justice. If you are at all curious about this guy, look him up, watch videos. This figure is out of control. Fully rooted hair. You can actually style his beard. You could style his hair. Put him in, just like he is a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Not really big into Lord of the Rings, but if there's a couple of characters that I would want, it will be Gandalf the Grey. Definitely will be a Sauron would be sick, and maybe even a Legolas, which they just announced. They are doing a Legolas. But this is one of those figures that I was like, I don't really care, at the time. We'll see how it goes. And of course, this thing is nowhere to be found now, and the people who are selling it for an arm and a leg. because they just went. InArt is still a fairly new company, so uh, a lot of their output is really slow right now. So there's not many of these out in the wild to pick up. So this is one of those missed opportunities, something that he could stand alone in a collection, and you could just be like, people could just walk in and be like, "What the hell? How did you shrink down Sir Ian McKellen?" Say, "I used I used the oldest magics to summon him into my collection." So just going through this list, going through some of my most wanted figures, definitely Gandalf the Grey. This guy is once again insane. Back to the Mandalorians. Back to reality. Oh, there goes Rabbit. Boba Fett. Probably my favorite Star Wars character ever. Boba Fett, Deluxe Edition. This is another figure that, because of the Book of Boba Fett, really just got pushed out of the collections of many people. But I'm an old school Empire Strikes Back head, and this is a figure that I kind of need it. This is one of those where I need it. I need them to do something again with this style of Boba Fett, OG Boba Fett from the original series. No need for a head sculpt because we can't see his face. He has a backpack that has jets, full array of weapons that, of course, Boba Fett comes with, cloth cape, cloth outfit, so you can pose him however you need. I even think it comes with a flight pole, so this thing just really rocks and rolls. I would love for them to do like a 3.0 on this figure and really just take it to the next level with all the new innovations that they have now. This is one that I just absolutely need in my collection. This is probably up there with top 3 most wanted lists that I may have to make some moves to get, because I just cannot not have Boba Fett in my Star Wars collection. This version of Boba Fett. I'm not a big fan of the Book of Boba Fett. It wasn't really my cup of tea. Kind of want to keep this OG version of him in my brain, and this is the one that I would choose for myself. Like, once again, these figures are not easy to find on a good day when they're out in the wild and brand new. So trying to find these older figures online is really, really tough because, like I said, you have to go through either third-party retailers or go through previous owners. So you have to buy a used version. I'm not really down for used. So have fun, happy hunting. And this is one that I'm definitely keeping an eye on my most wanted list. All right, keeping with Star Wars. Once again, no, this is not a real person you're looking at. This is the Anakin Skywalker Artisan Edition by Hot Toys. This has yet to release. The reason that this is on my most wanted list is because this is a limited edition figure. Only this was only available in a pocket of time on Sideshow, and it sold out like in 5 minutes. It sold out so fast, and people who got it got theirs. And now people are selling their pre-orders for hundreds of dollars just for the opportunity to buy this thing. This is probably one of the most realistic figures I've ever seen. Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One. Yeah, Toots, this is crazy, right? Wooled hair, get the nice little feathery look, rolling eyes so that you can lock in that serious pose. Comes with 2 USB lightsabers, leather suit. This thing is chalked to the gills. No one has one in hand yet. They haven't been released yet. This is just one of those opportunities where if you weren't lucky, you just couldn't buy one. And I kind of don't like that system. I wish they would mass produce these extremely popular characters more rather than shrink the collection of a lot of people. But I get it. You know what I mean? It creates a high supply and demand. But I wish I would have the opportunity to get this guy and have him in my collection, because this is a shelf stealer. This will draw eyes. This will be like people poking at it and trying to, touching his hair and stuff like that. Comes with a pretty standard array of hands. Comes with a metallic hand from Revenge of the Sith, and once again, just comes with those two USB lightsabers. I can't say much more about this. I would put this right next to my Darth Vader. Put this right next to Obi-Wan Kenobi, even a General Grievous, if not necessarily General Grievous, but you can put it next to a Count Dooku if you were lucky enough to get one. But yeah, this is an interesting most wanted because this is a figure that isn't out yet, but there's no way to buy it unless you just know somebody or you're willing to spend thousands of dollars on the aftermarket, which I'm not able to do. So, Anakin Skywalker, you got this one. And wow, we're already at the end of this list for this section of Figured It Out. Most wanted is 1989 Joker. Can we talk about this for a second? This is, once again, a figure that was way before my time. This was a very early 1.0 figure that Hot Toys put out many, many moons ago. And I recently was able to purchase the 2.0 of 1989 Batman Michael Keaton, and it's literally the crown jewel of my collection. Haters be damned. I love my 1989 Michael Keaton with the Jackson Zoo custom cape. You can see him back there in his giant case, glistening like the Silver Surfer. The only problem is that I don't have a figure to pair with him. I don't have a Vicky Vale, and I don't have this Joker. This Joker is selling almost for like $800 on the aftermarket right now. Probably was $200 when it was first sold. And I'm just not willing to make that kind of investment, people. Unfortunately, this Joker it's so old, there's not even like a display of everything it comes with. The likeness to Jack Nicholson is amazing. For being an old figure, the tailoring stands up. Comes with a full array of figures. And it's just one of those where it's like, I just need this, man, but it's nowhere to be found. This is such an old figure that there's just no way to get it right now. Unless you want to, fingers and toes crossed, dip your toes into eBay and see if you can pick it up that way. And I just don't feel comfortable doing that. Because they've made a 2.0, I am hoping that they'll make a 2.0 of this year, that we'll get an announcement for a new Nicholson Joker, maybe with a couple of different head sculpts, new tailoring, rolling eyes, all that fun stuff. But you don't know, you never know. Hot Toys is very weird with how they choose to put out figures. So this is probably my most wanted figure out of all the ones that we talked about tonight. It's this one because I need my Batman to be able to pair with someone. I know it's a standalone figure, but it would be nice to have this iconic Joker with my collection. With that being said, this is my, I would say, top 10, well, not necessarily even top 10, my most wanted figures in the space of Hot Toys. So what I would like to do now for the stream is pivot a little bit and see if we can talk some new releases from Sideshow, some new figure releases. Oh, actually, we can play the game we played before, where instead of looking at the new the figures that I would like to get that are available, let's look at some that are waitlisted, and you'll see a couple of these usual suspects on this list as well. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can fire that up for us, and hopefully it doesn't crash the stream because my internet is potato-like. So let's see if I can do that fairly quickly here. Availability, waitlist, sold out. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and stop sharing here. Let's go ahead and share here. Perfect. All right. Now we're looking at some figures that are waitlisted. What does that mean? Waitlisted is when a figure is not available immediately through Hot Toys, but you could be asked to put on the wait list. And the wait list is if someone, let's say, cancels their figure or chooses to, let's say, put it back, so to speak, you could have the opportunity to buy the figure that they didn't buy. You could be able to pick that up. And some of these will just be flat out sold out. So, and I know this is a bit of a finite list, but I would like to go through this list and kind of do what we did before. Here we have 3 choices. Between these 3, I'm going to let you know which one I would purchase and why. So we can go ahead and start to run through this list here on Hot Toys. So with Hot Toys on Sideshow. So let's go ahead and going back into Most Wanted, right? So for our options here, we have the Batman 2.0, which is the Ben Affleck, the Snyderverse Batman. We have the Artisan Joker, which comes with the brand new tailoring, brand new head sculpt, and the rooted hair. And we have a concept Iron Strange. So this is in a universe where Doctor Strange had the armor of Iron Man. It was going to be in Endgame as a strange kind of detour, but they didn't really end up doing it. So for these three options, let's go ahead and choose the Artisan Joker here. Let's take a look at good old Heath here. Perfect. So as you can see, this thing looks amazing. This thing looks out of control. The Dark Knight is one of those movies that I dragged all my friends to. Toots can attest to that, where I would just invite people to go see this movie. I love it so much. Even though I've kind of been rebelling against getting a Heath Ledger Joker, if I had the opportunity, it would be this one. It would be this Joker here. Just because it just looks so damn good. And you can actually just, this is actually looking better than some of the more higher priced ones that are out there, like from InArt or recently what we saw with J&D. It's just like they just nailed the likeness here with the Clown Prince of Crime here. I just can't say enough with the different array of hands, with the, if I can skip over to his accoutrement. No, we do not need a video. No, we don't need that. But yes, if I had a choice between these figures, I definitely would choose the Joker and put him on the Most Wanted list. All right. So next, we have the ARF Trooper with the 501st Legion. That looks pretty cool. We have the Deadpool with head pull, looks like, and dog pull, all the pulls. And we have the Batmobile. What can you say? It's the Batmobile. And if I had to choose between these three, of course, I'm going with the Batmobile, the iconic 1989 Batmobile. Now, you have to think about this, where the figure is already huge. 1/6 scale figures are pretty big. Now, if you were to fit this into, let's say, a vehicle, is even larger. I would love to collect vehicles. I would love to be able to stand my Batman next to this, just like the promotional picture. But who has space for monsters like this? Like, look at this photo here. Just too iconic. You know what I mean? This is the pose I would want for my Batman with my 2.0 with my Batman. So this is something I would definitely love to put in the collection and be able to have here. My internet's acting strange for this evening, so I honestly think I am going to call it for tonight. Just wanted to do a quick Most Wanted and just go over some of the waitlisted figures that I'm really looking into. Definitely plan on doing these more on Saturday nights. Just kind of just speaking with you. Thank you, Toots, for coming by and buying things for $1 and kind of going over this with me. Once again, this is, of course, your host, Mike G. This is MOTN Figured It Out. Quick little view. Stay collecting. Stay safe. Take care, everybody.